come down to where we ought to be. 'Tis a gift to be simple, to be simple, to be free. 'Tis a gift to come down to where we ought to be. And when we find ourselves in the place just right, the place just right, 'twill be in the valley of love and delight. 'Tis a gift to be simple, 'tis a gift to be free. 'Tis a gift to come down to where we ought to be. And when we find ourselves in the place just right, 'twill be in the valley of love and delight. 'Tis a gift to simplicity is gained. 'Tis to bow and to bend, we will free ashamed. 'Tis a gift to see our desires till by turning we come around. 'Tis a gift to be grateful. 'Tis a gift to be here. 'Tis a gift to be loved by neighbors we won't hear. And when we stand up for what we know is right, we'll be in the valley of love and delight. 'Tis a gift to be grateful. 'Tis a gift to be grateful. 'Tis a gift to be grateful. 'Tis a gift to be here. 'Tis a gift to be loved by neighbors we won't hear. 'Tis a gift to be loved by neighbors here. When true benevolence is shown, with strangers around we won't be alone. To love will be our delight, till by loving and loving we come around right. 'Tis a gift to be simple, 'tis a gift to be sweet, 'tis a gift to come down to where we ought to be. When we find ourselves in the place just right, 'twill be in the valley. When true simplicity is gained, when true benevolence is shown, we won't be ashamed, we won't be alone, we won't be ashamed, we won't be alone, we won't be ashamed, we won't be free alone. 'Tis a gift to be simple, 'tis a gift to be free. 'Tis a gift to be simple, 'tis a gift to be free. 'Tis a gift to be simple, 'tis a gift to be free.
Hello everybody, thank you so much for joining us for our third installment of our Composer Connection series. I'm thrilled to be inviting Karen Siegel and very happy to introduce you to this really remarkable composer's music. I first got to know Karen a few years ago when I started attending Chorus America conferences, and Karen was a staple of the composer community there. I was introduced to her by our mutual friend Eric Banks, the director of Seattle's Esoterics. Wonderful composer and conductor in his own right, and instantly felt a synergy, a sistership with Karen as another fellow woman, Jewish woman in choral music. We also found that we have a connection in that we both belong to groups that are called C4. So Karen's group is the Choral Composer Conductor Collective, a number of singers, composers, conductors who present each other's works and others as well, located in the East Coast, the New Jersey, New York region. And my C4 is the Catholic College Choral Festival. And so our C4 actually joined a consortium commission of a work by Karen a couple of years ago that we were supposed to have performed this previous November, which was of course shut down because of the pandemic. So both that and another project to perform a work by Karen called Ana El Na with Sacred and Profane, both sort of fell away because of canceled concerts. But then fortunately, Karen ended up making an arrangement of Ana El Na for remote choir. So we did actually, Sacred and Profane did perform that piece on our December
That was the
concert.
premiere.
Oh, was it really? We did the premiere of that? I had no idea. I'm so thrilled. I didn't even know that was the premiere. So I'm so grateful that we've gotten to actually sing Karen's music this year, and we are going to be performing her new work for remote choir called Meditation on our upcoming concert in June, and looking forward to speaking with her today. So with no further ado, welcome Karen. It's so nice to meet with you today.
Thank you, Rebecca.
So to get started, I'd just like to know a little bit about your background. What was it that was the initial spark that inspired you to become a composer? What led you into the world of choral music? All of those good things.
Thanks, Rebecca. So I started out not with a music focus at all. I was a psychology major, and I envisioned my career as being one that helped people. And I saw my involvement with music as just a selfish enjoyment. A hobby that was very important to me, but it was just for me. I loved doing it, and I loved singing, and I sang with the Yale Glee Club, and I sang with other a cappella groups in undergrad, and I also played in an undergrad orchestra, and it's a student-led one that was okay with my poor cello performance. And then gradually, as I got more experience performing, I came to realize that it wasn't selfish at all. As I really gained performance experience, I saw the impact that music had on audiences. Mm-hmm. And I started to feel like maybe there was more to it than just being for me. So even after I graduated college, though, I still wasn't sure, and I was working in conflict resolution education and composing at night. And it became clear to me that the expression of composing was something was really important to me. That combined with a newfound understanding of the importance of performing, the importance of music in the world, really gave me kind of the inspiration to pursue it, to apply to graduate school and study composing.
That's great. And you had the opportunity to work with Tanya Leon in your graduate studies. Can you talk about that a little bit and what she meant to you? She's not a huge choral composer, but then your life ended up becoming so involved with choral music. So I'm curious about that, experience and segue.
Well, working with Tanya was fantastic. And she's still a mentor to me. She really influenced me rhythmically. And, I think she really presses on all of her students kind of the importance of thinking outside the box rhythmically. There was a practical side to it too. Being a conductor, she was also focused on how do you notate it so that it's clear. Mm-hmm. How can the conductor clearly conduct this? So she likes to talk about circular rhythm, a rhythm that's outside of the box of the measure. You need the boxes of the measures to keep everyone together. Mm-hmm. The conductor knows what pattern to give, and the performers know what to expect, but the rhythm itself can be anything outside of that square or rectangular meter. Mm-hmm. So that idea really stuck with me. She encouraged me to be the rhythms in the music that I wrote during my time studying with her became very, very complex. I really love this idea of just doing anything rhythmically and ran with it and created some very difficult music. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. There was one piece that I actually had to revise because it was too hard for C4.
That's great.
And as in the years since, I have toned down the difficulty a lot, really thinking, is that difficulty absolutely necessary before I include it? But But that practical aspect also stems from working with her, in that she's well aware of the limitations of rehearsal time and what you can do with a group. She just chooses to work with groups that can do the difficult music that she writes. So she makes the choice to continue to do rhythms that are too complicated for amateur choirs. And that is a very valid choice. I have kind of diverged from her teachings in my more recent music, where I'm really thinking more about how can I write music that is accessible to everyone. But at the same time, I haven't lost this sense of the importance of out of the box rhythm.
Right. Like your piece.
Just found a way
Yeah.
to incorporate it in a way that is more accessible.
Yes, yeah, no, I think that exactly what you're saying, that speaks in so much of your work. I'm thinking about all of the pieces that I've been exploring more lately. You know, "Gift to Be Simple" that you wrote for the Yale Glee Club, and you know, yeah, I mean, all of the music in meditation, the piece that we're doing right now, and Ana Elena, they have all of those elements as well. So yes, it works beautifully for choral repertoire, that cyclic element, but it does have this sort of rhythmic complexity in there as well. It's lovely.
It didn't matter to me that she I wasn't looking to her for advice on writing choral music, because I already knew that. When I was in my studies, I was really needing to learn about instrumental music. When the last piece I wrote with her was an orchestral piece, I said, I want to write an orchestral piece while I'm getting feedback from Tanya. And that was really, really, really helpful to have her feedback on that. Whereas the choral music, I've just learned by osmosis anyway.
Right. So choral comes a little bit more from your origins. Can you speak a little bit more about your subject matters that you're writing for choirs? You're really tackling, themes of social justice, having to do with women's rights, having to do with gun violence, having to do with climate change. I'd love to hear where your inspiration comes in your subjects.
I mean, it just seems like what I need to do.
Yeah.
I think it's as simple as that. And it's exciting to find that there are choirs that want to do that too. So there's no tension there between what I want to express and what conductors are looking for. I mean, there are pieces that are not appropriate for school settings, for K through 12, but that's okay. There are lots of other choirs that are excited to tackle gun violence, to tackle feminist issues.
And I think even those issues are becoming more accessible to groups at those ages as well. Those topics are becoming part of our just common discourse everywhere. So I don't think it's long before groups are comfortable doing those pieces at all age levels.
I think it's more a school thing versus an age level thing. I think there are things that a lot of private youth choir directors would be comfortable performing that music teachers might be concerned about, because of kind of importance of public schools not being too political. And I respect that. That's fine. So I would not write a piece that's specifically for that setting that's so overtly political, but certainly something like environmental justice, that's okay for schools. It's not as controversial.
I wonder if your experience as a Jewish woman has informed your commitment to social justice in your music as well, and the other ways that being Jewish influences your life as a composer.
I'm sure it does. I mean, I think this whole idea of tikkun olam, making the world a better place, is, I think for all progressive Jews, or all, the Jewish world is very diverse. So I won't try to speak for all Jews. For myself, I grew up in a very liberal synagogue where these things were political issues were discussed on the bima, and we had a lesbian rabbi, and we had one of the first female cantors. So the idea of making the world a better place is important for all, I think for all Jews, specifically for the Judaism I grew up with, kind of a progressive spin on how to make the world a better place was.
Right. A better place for everybody. Yes. For all
Yeah.
people. Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
That's my feeling of what it means to be Jewish too, is a commitment to making the world a better place for all people, making that inclusive.
Yeah,
So,
and that's why I've changed the words of the Ana Elna prayer to make it more inclusive. Instead of just being a prayer for the healing of Miriam, it's the prayer for healing all of us.
right.
And I've changed in one of my works, Oseh Shalom, prayer for creating peace, which traditionally is, states about praying for peace for all of Israel. Um, and I took out that part for everyone. It's not just for
Right.
it's not just for the Jewish people.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. It's wonderful. You and I were speaking earlier. For me, it's exciting to see the Jewish idiom in your music sort of coming through from a Jewish woman's perspective, and feeling like you're contributing more to that body of repertoire, which has been has not had a large quantity of repertoire in that area. So really I just find it wonderful that that's happening. Can you talk a little bit about the Jewish musical idiom and how that inspires you, the flavor
I
of
haven't
Semitic
studied
music?
Jewish music formally. Another learning by osmosis thing. I just have it around me, and I think that it finds its way in with melodic feel in some pieces, using the harmonic minor sometimes, some other melodic tendencies, like the use of the fourth or the fifth in a kind of typical way that you find in Jewish melodies. Sometimes it works its way in, but I was actually just reviewing my catalog before this, thinking, how many of my pieces are Jewish, and what is that kind of like? And I think it's really just a subset. Most of my works still don't have anything really that Jewish about them, but about a third of them have some Jewish, either a Jewish focus, like a piece that's for Hanukkah, or setting a particularly Jewish prayer, or a Judeo-Christian prayer that is used both in synagogues and in churches, or has some type of Jewish influence in the melodic feel, or and if you expand that to think of all of the works that have some type of social justice or environmental justice, women's rights theme to it, if you think of that as having a Jewish influence too, then it becomes closer to half.
Right, yes, or little melodic elements like you were referencing before, even if the text isn't necessarily obliquely Jewish. So,
I
yeah,
don't think I do it on purpose when I do it. It just sometimes just feels right. It's part of who I am.
Yep.
And it becomes part of what my music is.
Yeah, and your musical language definitely reflects that. I love it.
Why Why do we love our gods more than our neighbors?
Could you speak a little bit about your experience with C4 Ensemble? And I'm thinking in particular about how your group and you in particular have become such remarkable champions and leaders in remote singing. You've sort of led the way for the rest of us in that regard. So how did that evolve, and how do you feel like your part in that story has kind of come to fruition?
Sure. Thanks, Rebecca. So right after the lockdown first hit, in March last year, when we canceled our concert, we really weren't sure about it. We debated, and we canceled it. And then we immediately started thinking, well, what's next? And it was really luck that members of C4 were already working with a composer named Ray Lustig on a program called Jamulus. And Ray works with it with different groups. This was before the pandemic. The idea was that maybe C4 would perform in New York, and Sacred and Profane would perform in San Francisco, and each of the groups would have a speaker and a video showing of what the other choir was doing, and we could do a double choir piece on the two coasts at once. And that was kind of the idea. So when the pandemic hit, suddenly it became a new idea. Well, is there anything we can do with that? And it wasn't even clear at first that we should. There was a group working on finding a way to sing together online. And then there was the group that was continuing to work on Jamulus. And at some point we said, well, shouldn't we combine these two groups and just have it be one project here and try using Jamulus for it? So the first time we got together to try remote singing, we used Zoom, we used Google Meet, we tried different things out. And I right away wrote this piece, Here I Am, which I offered as a gift to the choral community. And it's about being here in the moment and being there for each other when we can't be together physically, but we're still connecting and here. The text is, Here I am with you in spirit, with you in song.
Yeah, that's a wonderful piece.
And that's been downloaded by many, many choirs because I offered it for free, and has gotten a number of performances. So it's been good to hear about choirs that have experimented with it, experimenting with online singing. And I've helped a number of those choirs with workshops and helping them figure out how to sing either on Zoom, which is possible, as you know, doing it with Sacred and Profane. It's tricky. It's very tricky. You have to do various things to try to trick the Zoom algorithm, which is focused on letting one speaker at a time be heard and getting rid of all the background noise.
Yeah.
But even with their new settings that are better for music, they haven't gotten rid of those filters. So there's still a lot of tricks to it, and it's really not ideal. Whether programs like Jamulus and CleanFeed that do lend themselves better to make music together, but they're more complicated. And there are a lot of different factors that make Zoom a good choice for many choirs. I'm actually working on a piece with 3 choirs, and we'll be 100 people on Zoom all together. Wow. And we're figuring out all the logistics to make that work. 3 choirs and a cellist.
Wow.
So that's an ambitious project. And we know that the sound quality won't compare to an in-person performance, but it's about the experience.
Right. I think that's, yes, I think that's true. I think we've sort of come to decide that the give and take is really, it's part of the rubric. You know, it's the experience of singing together, regardless, even though we're confronted with all these technical issues. It's an imperfect solution, but it's a solution. So.
Yeah, and so C4 also has been helping other choirs with a whole series of how-to videos that Brian Mountford created, explaining every step of how he creates the setup as the audio engineer for C4, and helping other people. He's had meetings with the director that I'm working with to help them get set up on Jamulus.
Oh, that's
and and on C4's website, all the information is there. On my own website, I've put a lot of information, all the information I have about all the different platforms that I have experience with now. Nice. So sharing that and trying to help people to connect. First up on our program is a new work by myself, Karen Siegel. It is called Here I Am. And the full text is, "Here I am, with you in spirit, with you in song." And I wrote this piece as a gift to the choral community in response to the current health crisis.
Here I am, 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 here
Sort of brings me to another question, which is, as we're starting to come back into singing together, in person, we're all hopeful that we'll be doing that, at least by the fall. What would you like to see us retaining from this moment? What have we learned that we can bring forward that we'll be able to use in the future?
I think this connectedness is fantastic. The fact that we're talking right now, you're in San Francisco and I'm in New Jersey. I mean, would we have thought of this 2 years ago? Would we have thought to have all these collaborations across the country, across continents? And I've given workshops in Germany without leaving my home in New Jersey. I spoke at a German conference. I don't think I would have been invited to do
I
this.
directed a choir in Peru this summer.
So I think that will continue because we're now all comfortable with the Zoom medium. I don't know if another company will create something even better down the line, but video conferencing is here to stay, I think, but hopefully not all the time. It's exhausting to be on Zoom all day. So I think going back to in-person gatherings, and there is nothing like being in a room with our choirs, that we will really, really appreciate that and go back to that as soon as we can. But I think occasional video conference collaborations are here to stay. And I would like that to be here to stay because I enjoy being able to connect with my colleagues all over and not just waiting until we get a chance to meet at a conference. And then it's very rushed because we have all these different things we have to do there and lots of people to see, but to be able to sit down with you and really talk for a while in depth without having to rush anywhere or being a part of a busy conference, why not?
Yeah.
So I think that is something I'd love to carry forward. I also wonder how much of the styles of online singing will permeate in some way. I don't have a specific plan for that, but it's hard to imagine that it would completely abandon the use of aleatoric textures.
Right. Right. That actually, that's a great segue to my next question. I've loved listening to, the remote piece that we'll be singing in our next concert, Meditation. There are also recordings of groups that have been singing that in-person performances. And the sort of difference in those types of permutations of that same work have been really exciting and interesting to me. So I was wondering if you could speak about that experience of writing Meditation and then the various styles and ways that it's been performed, different kinds of ensembles, different kinds of settings, and what that experience has been like for you.
So it's actually been really exciting to see it done in different ways. I think that for choirs that have been able to get together in person, that they've told me it's been really amazing to experience that again. And the restrictions of having to use a mask and be distant have not negatively impacted their experience all that much. The main complaint is that they just can't be together for long enough because one of the restrictions that's recommended for safely singing together during the pandemic is to limit the duration of the rehearsals. Right. So that's been a challenge for conductors. So a lot of even the groups that worked that did in-person performances, most of them also had online rehearsals, at least some of the time. There would either be a university lockdown or there would just situations were changing where they'd have some people be in person and some people at home. That was not all that successful, but it did enable at least everyone to participate. Right. So it was very gratifying to see groups that were able to make it work online for performance, make that happen. And it's also gratifying to see that it works in person. I'm not surprised about that, but of course that does make for a better sound. The online performances are as much about the experience for the singers and the audience as it is about the finished product.
Absolutely. No,
so
it's really true.
Gratifying to be able to have both So an
Yes.
excellent finished product of an in-person performance, and to see a lot of groups that aren't able to do that experience a performance together on.
Right, right. Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, for one, I would love to bring this piece back into our repertoire when we are singing together in person and have that experience of feeling the cyclical nature of the lines and the way that the ensemble wraps around the soloist in a more real physical way. That we could actually sort of encompass our soloist as she's singing, which would be a lovely experience.
My request for when you do that is if you can try to have the 6 feet distancing, even when that's no longer required for health reasons. Because I think for all the works that I've written for remote choir, I've put that into the notes that I would like choirs in the future to perform them with distance, because I think it gives a sense of recalling that time, this historic time, recalling that experience. And 20 years from now, if it's performed for a group of young people who didn't live through this experience, then it's a way of showing them what it was like.
Right, right, absolutely. Yeah, no, I like that. And I think that spaciousness also is part of the work and part of the experience.
It helps the piece to not be right next to each other, because you're being asked not to be in sync with your neighbor.
Yeah. Yes. Well, we've loved working on the piece. It's just so beautiful, and it's been wonderful to hear the other performances of it as well. And excited to share some of those performances with our audiences as well. And also we hope that you'll come and hear our performance of it in our concert on June 5th, Saturday, June 5th. And looking forward to seeing you all there. And thank you, Karen, so much for meeting with me. It's been really wonderful speaking with you today about your music. Looking forward to years of collaborating.
Thank you. I really look forward to hearing the performance.
Thank you so much. Have a great day, and we'll see you soon.